Let me take a bright color so you guys can see. So overall, the composition, of course, it's obvious that the focal point is here. If we take like the cropping point, you see that you know the rule of third and everything. Always in that sort of landscape, and you always try to put your focal point in one closed, either right on it or close to it. This area, these 4 points here. So our focal point is obviously here, and we're gonna have our brightest either here or here. And this is like on the edge, it's secondary because it's a bit too close from the side. I'm not gonna bring too much attention because this kind of acts like a magnet, and this is bad. So let's go back to that. So let's analyze the lines in our composition so far. I know that I haven't maybe talked too much about that. I'm planning to do another tutorial on composition later on. But right now, let's analyze the lines. So it's obvious. What are the obvious lines here? The obvious lines, when I'm talking about lines, I'm talking about either alignments, like proper line created by the edge of something, or alignments of objects that your eye is going to bounce on kind of naturally. So we have this here, we have this big one here. Knowing that the start is here, your eyes always enter a picture from top left and ends up here, right? This is kind of like the natural movement of your eye on the picture, and then it's up to the painter or whatever, the photographer, to kind of manipulate that a little bit. So we have this, so straight away we're going straight to the focal point from here, and then following that, because we have this kind of line here that blocks us from going here, we're going straight down here. And then here we have kind of nice amount of details where your eyes can kind of rest and explore a little bit. And then let's see where we go after that. So we have a natural kind of Z happening here. This is what I wanted from the sketch. So it's kind of does something like that, you know. And then we have a natural line here. But then because I put this object here, it's kind of stop here. Before it was going kind of like, if we take off, this was kind of going there. And then here was kind of getting lost because there's no way, there's nothing to go back except this. But the negative space here is really big. And so your eyes is kind of wandering around this area without anything to send it back here. And that's bad. It kind of creates, if you look at all the big shapes, this is a pretty big shape if you compare it to, let's say, this one or this one. You know, this shape is pretty kind of same size as this or this. So it takes too much attention, especially because there's no way to bring your eyes back. So let's put this back. And you see that now here we kind of cut that line. So you kind of go here and then you kind of stop here. There's a good amount of detail here. And then automatically here you're going to go up. And then from here you're going to jump kind of like that to this part and back. So you see that it's kind of doing a circle. And if you happen to wander around like this area, then you're gonna go follow this line. Here, why I placed this here, because instead of letting you go out of the picture without any way of coming back, see if I take it back, like again there's a hole here, and then you're gonna kind of go exploring the background, but then it's kind of like, you know, and then nothing happens. It's my opinion anyway. You might have a different interpretation, but that's how I imagined it. So then where did I put that object? Okay, and then no. Where are you? Here. So here, we do this. Then you jump here, then here, maybe here, and then and back. More or less. I mean, it's definitely a subjective interpretation, but it seems to kind of work. So we have that. We have those lines here, then we have one. Okay, we have this and going back up. It's like that. So it's kind of satisfying at this point. The only thing for now that I'm a bit worried is like values are pretty close from here to here. So it kind of reduces the depth, the feeling of depth in the picture. So I think either I'm going to darken this part, or I'm going to start, which I might do actually. It can be an interesting thing. Problem is it might get too dark. But we can see, like on this reference, for example, that the dark areas are going really dark, so it might be a solution. The other thing is like to use a sort of the trick of the fog to kind of differentiate behind, put the fog behind this rock, so it will kind of differentiate, separate clearly these two areas, so there's no confusion. But already we have very nice overlapping, and overlapping is your best friend in terms of depth. Like every time you're going to overlap something, you're going to create the illusion of depth, because we used to see objects stacked behind each other, and we used to analyze that we used to use this information to analyze the distance between things. So the brain is very much used to that, and so the brain loves overlap because it gives great information. So use it as much as possible. And like in this case, you see that before, it's kind of flat. We still have this little overlapping thing, but it's kind of not enough to create depth. So that's why I added that. And the great thing also, and that's another kind of, not paint trick, but visual storytelling thing. It's a visual storytelling actually, because here we could add a lot of local information on texture, which we're going to do actually. On texture, we could add this kind of stuff, we could add this kind of stuff here, and then your eye is going to automatically associate these details to what's in the background. So you're going to your brain is going to do the work for you. It's going to imagine that this rock here is the same rock here. So the amount of details you're going to put here, your brain is going to know that it's the same amount of details over there. It's going to kind of enrich the visual storytelling, the information of your painting. So yeah, the other thing is, I think I want to kind of work on right now. So like I said, I'm going to lighten some areas, but here I think this line here in the composition is feels a bit forced. Feels a bit like I was explaining at the beginning. Feels a bit like a game designer sort of work. It doesn't feel natural enough. I think the problem is these values are a bit too similar. So we might want to break it here, like kind of show back the rock or something, just to break that straight line a bit. As far as alignment, I'm a little bit bothered by this alignment here. See, like it's a bit too on the same line. If you make a line here, you see this element, this element, this element, and this element. Actually, everything is kind of the same line, and it's not too far from the middle of the picture, and that's a problem actually. So we're gonna try to fix that. The other thing I think is that we have like a kind of bouncing values, like the lightest value is kind of here, and it feels like, and you have one here, feels like it's missing one here somehow, or here. There's a little bit here, but again, it feels kind of a bit aligned, too incidental, let's say. So maybe it also feels logic that if the light is coming this way, this area should be more in the light, because the tower, the world wall being here, casting shadow kind of like that. This area should be brighter here and then fade into the light here, fade into the shadow here. The intensity should degrade that way. So anyway, that's my analysis, and maybe also this needs to brighten up, because maybe it can catch a little bit of that light from the background. Also, because if the light is coming this way, this should be also kind of lighten up, because this rock here is giving a lot of light. But we might have clouds and creating like a halo of light here, and then there's dark cloud in this area, and there's another hole of light kind of here, and that's why we've created